We've been killing each other since the Stone Age, so whether it's a rock or a pair of scissors or whatever, I don't think you're going to stop that.
But Texans are proud because Texas. Texas is, anyone outside of America can tell you, oh, you're from Texas, everybody has guns and cows and we drive Cadillacs and oil derrick in our backyard, which is not true. But a lot of people in Texas have guns because they believe in that Second Amendment right that's set forth by our forefathers of this country. I'm a strong believer in the Second Amendment rights, and I'm also not going to violate yours or anybody else's Second Amendment right for you to be able to possess firearms or to have firearms if the federal government were to step up and say, all right, sheriffs, y'all going to have to take guns from everybody. Not going to happen in this county, and I can speak pretty much for the Sheriff's Association of Texas. None of the sheriffs in Texas are going to do that either.
And they were as much a part of life as the television or the china cabinet. I do remember that my father was incredibly strict. Do not touch my guns, ever.
I think, it definitely plays a part of what part of the country you're in. I mean, I wasn't raised with guns, but we are still in Texas, and it's, a lot of the South and definitely the rural areas, there's just prominent. I mean, my wife she grew up with guns. She has pictures when she was a baby of her literally teething on a pistol.
Guns, especially in Texas, I would think we do have a rich history of cowboys and saloons and stuff like that. It's a cultural, generational thing that's just been passed on. And down here, for a lot of people, a gun is like an heirloom. It's a piece of history. You can take this gun, it was made back then, used by this person, and has cultural significance because it's a lot like finding writing on a wall.
I actually bought my first firearm for myself when I was 17 years old. I bought a .22 rifle. I knew how to shoot pretty well already by that time.
We were taught to respect, guns, and, I knew right from wrong as far as, gun control or, gun safety and stuff like that. So I was raised with guns.
I was raised in what they call the Kemp edition of Wichita Falls, or a part of the east side. Around guns, we actually never had guns in our house, so those haven't really been a problem with us.
Not so much people infatuated with guns, it's just a culture. It's a culture of living, from hunting, even protection, mainly from the hunting aspect of it.
I think it's people don't know anything about guns, are scared of them. So, it's just like anything else that you're scared of. Oh, we don't like it, we don't want to have it, we don't need to have it around.
To me, in Texas, there's always been a healthy gun culture and then something else. That healthy gun culture that I grew up with was hunting, and that guns were used as part of it meant something between fathers and sons and sometimes daughters. And there was not this angry kind of paranoid attitude that we have to have guns or communists are going to take over or some, but to me, the unhealthy or destructive part, it really comes from fear.
There's no doubt. I mean, my gun sales in December were up 76% over prior year. And then you added Sandy Hook on that, and then the president's coming out, obviously people pushing against more gun laws, and my business has year over year is over 100% up. I got one in a couple weeks ago, and we literally were in the process of checking it out and carrying it out to put it on the shelf, and a guy saw it and said, I want it. And so it never even made it to the shelf. Our joke has always been that Obama's one of the best gun salesmen that there's ever been out there.
I'll never forget it. That day I woke up late for a doctor's appointment or something, and it was just a very off day from the get-go for me.
I was there with a friend, and we were 3 tables in, or sitting by the glass door to the cafe, and we were just catching up and talking.
I was about to get off work in about an hour. I'm sitting there, and a couple of customers was coming up.
Just out of nowhere, our conversation was interrupted.
And then you hear like a bang. And I was like, whoa, what was that? And then we looked over to the cafe, and you couldn't see anything. It was silent. Couldn't see anything. I was like, okay, maybe a cappuccino machine exploded or something like that.
And I heard this sound, and I thought, I don't know why, I thought some kid had taken out one of these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle goblets that we had and just threw it on the ground. My first thought, don't know why. And then at some point, it just clicked. Like, that was a gunshot.
And then I turned back over, well, would you like some? Then bang, automatically I went down naturally.
And then at that point, I heard that same sound again. I just dropped to the ground. He fired a couple times. I don't know how many.
Turning around, I saw him shoot a girl, and from the angle I was sitting, he shot her in the face.
I was staying, and then all of a sudden I hear my manager, Susan. She's running towards the back, and she's yelling, "Everyone get to the back room."
And I went to the front exit of Hastings while crawling, like really quick. And I opened the door, and I turned, and I was like, hey, y'all better bring y'all.
I remember the image of just the gun blast and the sound, and that happened, and I just, next thing I know, I'm on the ground, and my body went numb. I didn't feel any pain. My body just went numb, and I knew that I'd been hit.
I'm running like this. I'm thinking of Sonic the Hedgehog, anything fast, like just going. Like, I haven't run like that since track. And I was trying to get to Walgreens, but I ended up at Taco Bell. So basically, I did head for the border, as you can say.
I started going to the cafe. I hear one of the Hastings phones ring, and I just grab it, and I say, I don't know what just happened. Call the cops. Someone might be hurt. I hang up the phone, and I see people laying on the ground in the coffee shop.
The things I saw that night, seeing a girl lay next to me in a pool of blood with a hole in the back of her leg, while she's trying to call her mom and crying, and those images will never leave my mind.
In the 10 or so minutes that happened, because I honestly don't know how long it took, it just spread. That was the strangest part. Just all of that could happen in 10 minutes.
I went there just to have coffee and to catch up with a friend, and I left in the back of an ambulance with 2 gunshot wounds, and I was just there having coffee. And I often joke about, I didn't even get a refund. Like, I just got that coffee.
What Hastings changed for law enforcement. There's more officers off duty that's carrying firearms now, regardless of where they're at. How we didn't have more people killed is just a grace of God. That's all it was. That's all it was.
When I hear a gunshot fired, like in real life, I immediately think of that. It's not the same as whenever you hear it in a video game or playing it on a movie, because there's just something in your brain that tells you this is real life. It's not something you can turn off.
There's been days that have been really hard, that I don't want to talk about guns. I don't want to, and I quit watching TV actually after the shooting, because I never realized how saturated violence is in everyday life.
A gun is a powerful symbol. It's a powerful catalyst, and it's very easy and accessible to get to. And when someone who, for whatever reason, may be out of control, that gun is so easy to grab and use. And that's what many sociologists note, is that that gun has a powerful presence and is lethal. If someone assaults me with a knife, I have a 1 in 16 chance of dying. if someone assaults me with a gun, I have a 1 in 4 chance of dying.
Whenever you do sit down and you do put restrictions on guns, it can help. And even though people, I do believe, have the right to own their own guns, it shouldn't be absolute.
That's our biggest thing is we've got lots of laws, lots of regulations on books concerning guns. Let's enforce those, put some bite into those laws that are already there, and hopefully, that's definitely a good first step.
It breaks my heart to think that, because I know they can put as many laws as they want on guns. They can try to control them, but fact is, there's other weapons out there. I think it's kind of silly that the emphasis has been put on guns and blamed.
I truly believe how people are raised around firearms, understanding of firearms, is how I understood firearms, and people my age understand firearms.
There are people who are brought up well and well socialized and who don't have mental health issues and who have some ability to restrain themselves and at self-control that under the worst possible circumstances they won't lose their temper and hurt somebody. There are others who are not so stable and not so self-regulated. There should be a way in our modern high-tech society to have information that a young man is unstable and has been treated in mental health facilities, is full of anger and has made threats, he ought not be able to buy a gun.
You have to fill out the form, what they call a 4473. You have to show your identification. It's a relatively simple process, but everything that we do here, any gun that leaves the store gets a background check on it. I mean, the form is pretty straightforward. If you've had felonies, if you've had, been in a mental institution, things like that, you can't buy a gun.
I could take you to bars in this city. You can buy any firearm that they've got available right then. No paperwork, probably stolen, maybe not reported, or reported but without a serial number. There you have it. I'm not saying they don't need to be checked. Everybody needs to do that. I expect if I go to Academy today to buy a new Glock 22, I'm going to have to wait. I'm good with it. But then again, I'm a law-abiding citizen also.
Maybe limiting guns won't prevent that, but at least forcing states to comply with a universal measure, we can probably see a drop in violent crimes like that just throughout the country.
It's never changed my view on guns, and I actually shot a gun for the first time in October, and I didn't know how I was going to react because that sound, it was just such a small space, and that smell of gunpowder. I know a lot more. I'm more educated about guns now. But I think to blame a gun or to change my entire viewpoint on guns would be kind of silly, because a gun didn't walk in there and shoot me.
I believe people kill people. Guns don't kill people. People use guns as a tool to kill people.
I still believe, basically, it's not the gun who kills people, it's, people who kill people.
And this binder is full of strangers and people who wrote me, who would send me letters, who an entire community would just sign cards. I had a lady from Switzerland write me, actually. I keep this binder to go through and to remind me of that there are people who care, and people who, there's still good in this world.
Child who saved this world, and there's 10 million more who probably could if we all just stopped and said